What's up, everyone? Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. We have a lot to talk about this week, but first, how is everybody's week going? We got Jen Matthews Lewis up here, up top with me. We got Carrie Johnson down below as Chiefs chick, and then we got Candy, the South Florida Tribune, right below me. So, how is y'all's weeks going, ladies?
Good. How about yours?
It's going really well. It's
Hot
incredibly
and
hot in
wet.
Texas.
Hot and wet.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Candy. It's wet and
it's
not very wet.
literally hell in Texas right now.
So my day just got really good because I had my blackberry water delivered by my favorite delivery person. So
Oh,
Hot and wet, and we're hoping that unfortunately the Atlantic Ocean is very hot. And because now I didn't know this, but the Sahara Desert, the African sands normally come and they calm the waters, but they're not as prevalent this year. And so the problem is that means the sun is heating up the Atlantic Ocean, and there is
oh my
actually a
gosh.
disturbance out there that is headed towards the United States.
That's right.
oh good,
So
that's what we
it's a
need.
tropical storm right
It
now.
is. It is.
I have a friend in Miami, and he said that it might be a hurricane by the time it hits. So
Mhm.
just prayers up for everybody there in Florida. Y'all be safe, but y'all know what to do. Y'all go through this all the time.
We do, but it's still I've actually never been in one. Like I've lived here since 2011 and I evacuated once, but other than that it's
Oh
kind of,
wow.
gone never direct hit. It's always gone up the coast and but we can
Well, it's
just
like
hope and
your
pray.
area and the Keys rarely get actually hit because of where you're located and the placement.
So are you really down far south? Or are you kind of like in the middle of the state? What region
I'm
are you in?
I am just north of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I
Between
had to
West
share.
Palm and Fort Lauderdale.
I was in when the only time I've ever been to the beach. We went and I believe it was 12 down to the Gulf Shore, and I was watching the having being from the Midwest. Tornado. Whenever a warning comes along and tells you what counties, it's imminent. And it was really weird to have all of the alarms going off and the warnings showing up and then like in the next 3 to landfall expected in days down the road, and you're like, not minutes. Okay, cool. It was a weird conundrum because that was not what I was used to from where I am.
But when a
You
tornado
know,
hits, it normally hits like a mile or for a stretch. Whereas when a hurricane hits, it's not just tornado activity and wind. It can be a
right,
lot of rain and water and knock power out for days. Like you can't get
right.
gas for and days upon end. So yeah, it's a whole new experience
We
because
just
I
had
grew
a
up in the Midwest. So
right. We just had a tornado hit here in our area too, so I just want to say prayers out for the people in Perryton. 114 people injured, 3 people killed, and they still don't have power out there. So definitely thinking about them. Just one of our little dirt road towns out here, and got hit really, really hard.
yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of tornadic activity here yesterday. I think I showed you guys some of those our tweets from our local meteorologist, Brad Panovic. One of the hurricane tornadoes, sorry, that tried to form was less than a mile away from my best friend and his wife's house.
Oh, I saw
He's
that.
with
I
my
saw what
best
you
friend too.
posted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
All right.
yeah, I was like, okay. My mom called. She's like, I lost James's number. Give it to me. I was like, okay. She's like, I need to check on my other son. So, um,
All right, Carrie, you want to get us started?
Sure. We're going to do a couple quick topics and then we'll move into our main event. Want to give a shout out to my black cat decided to in front of me.
I love that. For once, it's not my little yappers in the background.
Nothing like having a cat tail in your face. Um, so we want to give a shout out to the Oklahoma women's softball team. They are now the three-peat champions in the NCAA. They are on a 53-game win streak. Pretty phenomenal. Impressive, and they're a fun team to watch. So that happened last week, I believe. So we do want to give them a nod. Then we're also looking at right now happening is the NCAA World Series.
Right.
The Balls and LSU are playing right now for the last play-in spot for the semifinals. Starting tomorrow night, Florida versus TCU, and then it's Wake
Oh,
Forest
right.
against the Balls or LSU, whoever comes out of the game tonight. Then Candy has some fun information about the Marlins.
So
Hi,
we all
well,
know I'm from the Midwest and I love my Milwaukee Brewers, but I live down in South Florida now, and so the closest team to me is the Miami Marlins. Let's just say the Marlins, they haven't been the greatest team as of late, but as of last night, they are the third best record in the National League. They started out 41 or 42 and 31 in the first 73 games, which is the best that they have started, second best since the 1997 World Series. They are one of their batters, let me tell you, is on fire. Luis Arias. He is the real deal. He's a second baseman. He leads MLB. We saw him on June 3rd and last night. Both both games he went 5 for 5. He is batting as of last night at the end of the game 400.
That's
That is like
unbelievable.
unheard of
Right.
in
That is
today's
insane.
day
Yeah,
and age.
that's what one of our comments says too. Says that he's almost hitting 400, and so, like you said, and he actually got there by the end of the
Yes.
game. So that's amazing. You never hear that in the MLB anymore. Like that's 400. That's insane. So, I think this season, just the pitch clock and some of the changes they made about the stolen bases has really revamped the game. Like I'm really excited about this
Mhm.
season. But I'm a Rangers fan, so we're playing well. Maybe that has something to do with it.
We won't
hey,
talk about the
Will, comment
Cardinals.
from either my page or Megan's page or Carrie's page. If you're commenting from like Three Chicks page, for some reason it's not coming through.
Right. Or if it's in one of the groups, I think you have to go to one of our pages.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for interrupting you. I apologize.
No problem.
No, I mean it's just awesome. I mean that it's been,
Yes.
and there's a newfound excitement, which we went to games, like it's interesting because like last night, um, Don Mattingly, the former Miami Marlins manager, who is now a bench coach for Toronto, was actually there because Miami was playing Toronto. So they put up a welcome back sign to Don
Oh,
Mattingly,
that's
and
cool.
he tipped his cap off, and he was like swarmed with reporters before the game. It was really just cool to see him and talk to him. My husband Scott knows him and knew him from previous, and so he got a chance to talk with him, which was great, and have a picture with him. And it's just a good overall feeling around the Marlins right now, which is exciting. I mean, because let's face it, the
Right.
Heat did well, the Panthers did well, FAU did well in the Final Four. Like we're just hopping right now, which is exciting to see.
Best
Love it.
Panthers in the sports team. I'm just saying.
No, best team is the one that just walked through the I'm joking. The one
Right.
that was on video
Go away.
by Panther.
Um,
Oh,
All right.
That's all I
So
got.
I
Marlins.
was going to say, I'm really glad that you all have some winning teams because the Cardinals. Well, we need some coaching. I think.
oh, but
I don't think it's the players.
you know what? The Cardinals have a really cool game coming up, though. They're going to be playing the Giants at the oldest stadium in the nation. It was actually Willie Mays. That's where he made his debut. It was one of the Negro League stadiums, and they have actually adjusted it. It's going to hold, it's similar to the Field of Dreams game, and so
Uh-huh.
they adjusted the stadium, and it's going to have 10,000. They're going to be able to have 10,000 fans there. So
Well,
even though the Cardinals are having a rough year, that's a pretty cool game to get.
the
yeah.
Cubs and Cardinals are reinstituting the England games this weekend on Sunday.
Oh,
So they'll be playing
okay.
international. So that's kind of cool too. But man, anyway. So our main topic tonight is going to be about Ja Morant and his 25 game suspension for his indiscretions with weapons as well as other things that we've seen out there. Jen, did you want to take the lead on this one and share what you have found?
So I'm going to quote Stephen A. Smith. Ja, we don't believe you. I do not think you are actually maliciously lying. I do not think you took your mental health vacation seriously. you were raised in a seemingly great home environment, I will say this, and I'm going to go into more. I honestly, I don't know if like any of you ladies have gone to Memphis or not. Have any of y'all been? You have? Okay. All right.
You don't
So
stay long.
Memphis was one of those cities that I was so excited to go to, and it's a city I will never go back to.
It's rough.
It was so like my husband forgets that he wasn't raised in South Central in the 90s, okay? That's how much he hates cops. All right. So y'all can hate on him if you want, but he has valid reasons for it. That being said, he when we were in there, and literally we stopped for lunch on our way to New Mexico. And
Right.
at a very famous barbecue joint that we thought was more like North Carolina's better. But it's a barbecue, so we're always gonna say that. Except for
Tasting's better, but go ahead.
the best ribs ever. I don't care who disagrees with that, you're just wrong. But
You just defend your wrongness. Go ahead.
you're just wrong, okay? And if you haven't been, go to Maria's and Santa Fe. Megan, I think I sent you there when you went to Santa Fe a year or two ago, or tried to.
Uh-huh.
But we actually walked out of the restaurant, and my husband threatened to call the cops. I also, whenever I think of Memphis, sadly, I also think of Lorenz White. I also think of other athletes who've gone there, burned. I honestly can't help but think if Ja gets the mental health that he needs and get his attitude adjusted again, then he goes to a different team and maybe a less criminalized city, or a city that applauds criminal behavior, because it does.
I mean, it's a rough town. It's a really rough town.
It's rough. It's rough. And I'm not trying to knock it because it could do the right things. But I know even on another podcast that I used to be on, we were talking about the murder that took place there by, Memphis PD. And Memphis and TBI really went in, cleaned it up, did what they needed to do. But, right, I agree with you on that. Zion can fix his issues, though, if he wants to. That's a matter of...
I don't know. That's a whole different show.
But that's also why you don't want to do the one and done.
Yeah, that's a whole different show.
For you to retweet yesterday, John Morant's camp reportedly feels like the NBA and the media are out to get them. No, honey. The NBA and the media know the talent level you are.
For sure.
You're generational. Get help. Take it seriously.
When Iverson reached out to Stephen A. He reported today saying, pass along this information to him. You need to talk to him. Stephen A. said, you need to reach out to him because you're going to be carrying much more weight.
Oh, yeah. Allen Iverson would be great to talk to. So would Meta World Peace. Like...
I think Meta's still like on the other end of crazy.
He is, but he's trying to help people.
I think Gilbert Arenas would probably be somebody to talk to, like, because it literally ruined his career. Now there have been a couple of things that have come out, like the NBA actually within the NBA.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want to make this point. Okay, I agree and disagree. If he was threatening somebody's life, which I have pondered, yes, it needed to be somebody else. Because at this point, you're playing with guns. You're playing Russian roulette. So you're threatening your own life. But the NBA did not want to exceed what they gave Miles Bridges, who, in my opinion, should still be in jail for attempted murder. But whatever. He's going to get picked up by somebody in the NBA. But agreed, he needs to leave Memphis, and he needs to be careful because he is that idol. Okay, I'll shush for a minute. I'm kind of heated about this topic.
So it's actually, come out over the last couple of days that people within the NBA aren't happy. They think that the suspension is excessive. And also, we have found that in that second incident, that was actually not a gun. It was a lighter. And there's proof of that. But here's the thing: regardless, the image still violated your employee code of
Mm-hmm.
conduct. And so for me, had it been a real gun, I feel like you had to make an example out of him. Now that I'm seeing that it's not, I feel like, well, one, because you have prior history with this, and so obviously that is what leads to this being what it is now. So I'm okay with the 25-game suspension right now, currently knowing that in the second incident it wasn't actually a gun, but you're still responsible for your image and how you
Yes.
project yourself, and it's still, like I said, it still violates a code of conduct. The first incident was obviously way more serious. You had a firearm crossing state lines. How did it get on the plane? How did it get in a club? You're not supposed to have a firearm in a place that sells alcohol. I mean, so many other problems
Mm-hmm.
with the first incident. And I think that that's where the problem came from, is that they didn't take that first incident serious enough. That's where he should have got a heavy suspension the first time, because as an NBA player, you're allowed to have a firearm, but you have to not register it, but you have to claim it with your
Yep.
team and let them know, like, hey, I have this firearm. Like, because I mean, if you're in a state where it's okay for you to own a firearm, then I mean, just as long as you obey the laws, it's fine. But you have to claim it with your team and let them know, like, hey, this is what I have. So the same way you have to claim it with the police. Like, that is what your employer is asking you to do, and that's what you should have done. So I feel like the problem really comes with the first suspension being 8 games. It should have been serious from the very moment,
Yes.
because that incident was way more severe than the second one, even though the second one appeared a certain way. So that's my take on it. I'm
And that's
okay
the
with
thing.
25 games. I don't think it's
I am
excessive
too.
because prior problems.
Well, and
Right.
you also
And
have
he
to.
didn't take it
Oh, go
serious.
ahead, Candy. Go ahead. Go ahead,
What I
Candy.
was going to say is we have to remember he is an employee in an organization. If any one of us, as a private citizens and with our jobs, broke some of the regulations that are laid down in our organizations, one, we probably wouldn't be at the second offense a fine. We would probably be fired. Like,
Uh-huh.
people have to
Right.
realize that,
Oh, very true. Very
and
true.
this is a very public, when you get a job and you're a player in the NBA, you are a public figure. I don't care if you
Mm-hmm.
didn't think you would be, you are. It's just part of your job, your
Yep.
image. You're not playing in you're not, and no offense to the wrestlers, but you're not a wrestler and need that tough guy mentality and need to look like that and then live up to that.
Well, even then,
Right.
Candy, like honestly, out and I bought T-shirts from AEW that says "Fight like an 8-year-old girl." You know why? Because these wrestlers are surrounding this 8-year-old girl who is fighting, or is getting a heart transplant. So that's who you need to be looking up to, Ja. The 8-year-old girl, freaking fighting for her life. The
I,
8-year-old
I'm,
boy fighting for his life. That's who you need to play for, mister. And I want your daddy to take you home with him and pull you over his lap and spank you. And I know that sounds dumb, but maybe it'll embarrass you because you're a grown ass man. Sorry for the ASS. Sorry. But
but
okay,
I have
sorry, Gary, go
one
ahead.
last thought. One, I'm really surprised that Memphis isn't stepping up as an organization
Right.
and forcing
They had.
uh, forcing him for controlled choices and getting him back on the straight and narrow. But the first suspension, he had already checked himself into a facility and had already served several of the games when they gave him the 8 games, including that. So I kind of felt that was a slap in the face. Was like, well, since he's in the hospital, we'll go ahead, in the facility, we're going to count that
Right.
as part of his suspension, and it should not have, in my opinion.
Mm.
But let's go ahead and move on to some more exciting things. We've got the NBA draft happening in 2 days. Megan Spurs are going to be getting a generational talent. Megan, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm super excited. I'm calling it Spurs Day. So we're now 2 days away from Spurs Day. Very excited. But I'm going to run through. I'm going to run through the top 10 picks and obviously end with the number one pick because that's my team. But at number 10, it's looking like, as far as mock drafts, so Dallas Mavericks have that pick. It's looking like they might go for Derek Lively. He is a center. He is 7'2". He's 215 pounds, and he's a freshman at Duke, so he is a one and done. But looking like he could be a great talent as well at 7'2". 215 pounds. He probably needs to put some weight on, but that is a common thing for our 7-footers, except for Jokic. But I mean, he's an anomaly. So, but I think Dallas absolutely needs a center. They're probably going to move on from Christian Wood, so that would be an excellent pick for them. At number 9, you've got the Utah Jazz, and this is projected that they will take the guard forward Taylor Hendricks from UCF. He is 6'9" and 210 pounds. Um, Jazz needs a, the Jazz needs a lot. So I think any pick that they could probably do at that is going to serve them well. They were a part of that trade last year. They ended up getting rid of Donovan Mitchell. Now they do have Jordan Clarkson over there, and they do have Colin Sexton as well. So they have a couple of good pieces over there, and they did better than expected in the first half of the season. But obviously, they don't have much depth. So really, whatever position you take at number 9 as far as Utah Jazz, I think it's going to be a good pick because it's such a heavy draft class. Like there's so many good picks. The first round is going to, I mean, pretty much wherever you get in the first round, it's going to be probably pretty good. At number 8, you've got the Washington Wizards, which we've seen them blowing up their roster over the last couple of days. They have gotten rid of CP3, or not CP3. They have picked up CP3. They have gotten rid of Bradley Beal, and we've heard that Kyle Kuzma is not going to stay. So I'm hearing whispers of Spurs. We do have quite a bit of cap space for this season. So I would love, if you've been following me for a while, I have wanted Kuz on Spurs since he was a Laker. So hopefully that happens. But I'm just going to be happy with the number 1 pick. But the Wizards are projected to take Anthony Black. He is 6'7", 196 pounds. He's a freshman at Arkansas. And we saw the Arkansas have a really good run during the tournament. Obviously, this was his tryout to be in the top 10 of the draft. At number 7, we have the Indiana Pacers, who we have heard also some trade rumors going on over there as well. Buddy Hield looks like he is available. They are projected to take Josh Walker. He's 6'8", 248 pounds, and he's a freshman at Houston. Houston, who also had a phenomenal year this past year as far as their season. And then they had a pretty good tournament run as well. Didn't go quite as expected, but they were dominant all year long. Like they were definitely in the top 5 majority of the season. So they need somebody to pair with Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner over there in Indiana. I think that they could do some things next season, but they definitely need to take this pick really serious. So I think we might see the Pacers trade up. If they can move Buddy Hield, I think they're going to try and do that and move up. At number 6, we have the Orlando Magic for one of their, I think they have 2 first-round picks. And they're directly right in the out of the top 10. So at number 6, though, it's looking like they may take Thompson from Overtime Elite. He is a great shooter. Orlando has been at the top of the draft for a while, for several seasons, and they've had a couple of number 1 picks. They've had several top 5 picks. They've had some problems with coaching, but they have some good pieces. And so over there, I think if they could get somebody, while I know a guard is appealing, I think that you probably want to go after a center if you are, but if you don't have one that's the best possible option at that pick, then I understand going for a guard, but they definitely need a center over there as well. At number 5, you got the Detroit Pistons, and it's looking like they may take Cam Whitmore. He is a freshman out of Villanova. He's 6'8", 235 pounds. Detroit, I don't think that they need any more guards. But sometimes
why not?
I mean, because they have a wealth of guards over there. But we've also heard trade rumors with Detroit as well. Bogdanovich wants to be moved around, and they're probably looking to move that around. Detroit has done some amazing things with their coaching staff that they've hired behind Monty Williams, and so I expect to see them probably make a move with this pick instead of keeping it, because I like their roster. They need a star, and they need somebody other than Bogdanovich. I mean, he's good, but you need somebody with a little more star caliber than him. But you get Cade back healthy. You got Killian Hayes over there. You got some good pieces over there that are young. You need to get some veteran leadership in there. I wouldn't be worried about the number 5 pick personally. And I think Monty Williams is the right person to bring that up with their owner and move forward with that. So at number 4, you've got the Houston Rockets, and it's looking like they may go with Amon Thompson. He is from Overtime Elite as well, so G League. He is 6'7" and 202 pounds. He is also a guard. They definitely need a guard over there in Houston, but they need a lot in Houston. So, and we've also heard rumors that possibly James Harden wants to come back to Houston and probably finish his career there. So we could see that pick moved around as well. At number 3, we've got the Portland Trailblazers, and it's looking like they may take Brandon Miller. Likely the number 3 pick. I think the number 1, 2, and 3 picks are pretty solid. Portland has also come out and said that they're going to do whatever they can to build around Dame, and they are not trying to shop him around unless you're trying to spend that cash. So I don't know if that was a dig at Dame or if that was a dig at the rest of the league. Like, y'all are just going to, they know what they have, and they don't want to let him go for cheap. So I expect them to take Brandon Miller at number 3. Like, I think that'll probably be pretty solid. Then at number 2, we've got the Charlotte Hornets, and I'm going to let Jen do that one real quick.
I'm just going to say, if we grab Brandon Miller, I'm not going to be a happy camper because there's already rumors we're going to get Miles Bridges back. We don't need 2 people with criminal situations. Okay, please and thank you. But I really, like Megan, you know, we've talked about this. I do want Scooter Henderson. His, like, the best analogy I've seen his game combined of is Colin Sexton and Russell Westbrook. And
okay,
I can agree with that. And honestly, I kind of liked what he said. He was like, actually, Vic is good, but I should be the number 1 pick. I like that confidence.
I think that's how you're supposed to feel about yourself, because if Vic wasn't in there, he definitely would be the number 1.
Yeah. But it's Charlotte, so I'm used to having my heart broken with who I went in our drafts. So, hey. But hopefully he'd want to stay with us. And then back to you, Megan, with your number 1 pick. That I might be a little jelly of, but I think I'm okay with it.
I understand. Now, I kind of want to chime in with the Hornets, though. I think this is like a slam dunk. Like, I don't think they can mess this up. Like, obviously, Scoot would be the number 1 pick if Vic wasn't just particularly in this draft. Mm-hmm. But at the number 1 pick, I think it's almost completely solidified that Vic is going to go number 1. He is a 7'4" center out of France. He's 209 pounds, so baby definitely needs to put some weight on. And I think that'll come with age. He's very young. So with age, he will probably put a little bit of weight on. Definitely super excited that we got the number 1 pick. We haven't had the number 1 pick since Tim Duncan, which was 97. Oh, wow. And then we had another number 1 pick in 87 with the Admiral, David Robinson. So we haven't even had a top 10 pick in that amount of time. Or we had 1 top 10 pick, and that was Jeremy Sochan from Baylor a couple of years ago. So so excited.
We have a really good coach.
We have an amazing coach. If you don't know the story about how Pop became the coach of the Spurs,
I do not know the story.
He was the GM, and he fired the coach and made himself the coach. Like, that is such a boss. Like, I don't know if you can ever top that. So, and real quick, I'm going to run through the power rankings of the WNBA because I know we're getting kind of close on time. But the power rankings came out yesterday, and I highly disagree with them, which I know is not a shocker for anybody. At the power rankings, though, right now from ESPNW, you got the Aces at number 1. You got the Connecticut at number 2. You got the New York Liberty at number 3. You have the Washington Mystics at number 4. And so all those have been the same rankings for the last 3 weeks. At number 5, you have the Atlanta Dream, who have gone up several spaces. The Atlanta Dream is 5-5. At number 6, you have the Indiana Fever. And the Indiana Fever is 3-7, I believe. Very disappointing to me that you can win a couple of games and actually be ahead of teams that have more wins than you. So not sure how that happened. Los Angeles is at number 7.
Worst excuse ever, says
because I know it's power rankings, and you get a little leeway because it's just over the last week and that moves you up. I get it, but you only have 2 and 3 wins on some of these teams, so I don't agree with that whatsoever. At number 7, you got the Los Angeles Sparks, who are 5-6. At number 8, you have the Seattle Storm, who is, let me see, the Storm is 3-7. Like, I'm not sure how they are at number 8. Minnesota, who is 3-8, or the Storm is 3-7. Minnesota, who is 3-8, is sitting at number 9. Dallas, who is number 10, is 5-6. Chicago, who is 5-7, is at number 11, and then the Phoenix Mercury, the only one I agree with because they have the least amount of wins. As far as the bottom half of the rankings, right there, they are 2-8. So I just don't like how they put the teams with less wins above teams that just kind of had a tough week. So that's my thoughts on the WNBA. Keep watching. We got the Sparks, or we have the Wings versus Atlanta starting right now, and it's a little bit of a rivalry game since as of recently.
All right.
All right, so Dan has asked us, which teams do you ladies root for, and who do you want your teams to select in the draft? It's pretty obvious who Megan wanted and who she's getting. Jen, who do you want to share?
I went Scooter Henderson, and honestly, I heard something interesting on local top sports talk today. They were like, LaMelo will end up being number 2 if we get Scooter, and I was like,
"Oh, that's interesting."
Okay, that's interesting. Didn't think of that, but I could see it. Candy?
Well, I follow the Milwaukee Bucks, but they don't have a pick until number 58.
Don't complain.
So to be able to tell you who they're going to pick, I have no idea. They have so many free agents right now that they've got to figure out in their salary room. You know, with Giannis, I mean, he's there, but like Chris Middleton, his contract is up. Drew Holiday, they have a couple. Brooke Lopez, they have a bunch of other ones. So I know the Bucks are against the Pistons. So
yeah.
And
I want to comment on that one. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on that comment, Dan. Actually, the Dallas Wings are the former Shock. So if you want to root for a team, you can root for my team.
I do not have a team. I'm in the middle of the Midwest, so the closest team I think is like 6 hours, and so it's not ever been something that really caught in my area. We're more into watching college, but I'm choosing players, so I'm picking and choosing players. I think I'm going to kind of ride Vic's coattails and root for him. I also like Maxey from the Sixers. So those are two that right now they're young, they're interesting. Vic, I'm waiting to see how he's going to turn out and how he's going to be able to transition into the NBA. But Maxey's a baller. He's fun to watch. He's got a lot of energy, and he's young. So to watch him kind of grow into his role is pretty fun to watch. But that's just because I'm watching players, not a team necessarily. We want to take, before we end the show, we want to take it into our uplifting topic, and we have Jen with a little bit about Glenn Campbell. Jen, can you share with us?
So this is actually from your neck of the woods, Miss Carrie. Honestly, the 4 of us ladies have kind of had a rough year. And I listened to a minister's podcast, and he was telling the story this morning, and I really needed to hear it. And it just reminded me, because I've had a lot of self-doubt lately about a lot of things. I'll be very candid with y'all. And so when he was talking about the Kansas City Flyer, I was like, okay, because I know the story about Glenn Cunningham, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. And Carrie has a great story we're going to discuss next week, and this will segue into a little, in my opinion, it segues a little bit. So Glenn was 8 years old, and he was in an explosion that was caused by his older brother, who ended up perishing in the fire. And when the doctors actually recommended, his legs were badly burned, and the doctors recommended amputating his legs. He was so distressed about it that his parents would not allow his legs to be amputated. The doctors were like, well, he's never going to walk again. Well, within 2 years, because he had lost all the flesh on his knees and shins and the toes on his left foot. his transverse arch was also practically destroyed. However, with his determination and his abilities to overcome anything and everything, within 2 years, and he told everybody, he was like, not only am I going to walk again, I'm going to run again. Within 2 years, he was walking. Within 2.5 years, he was running again. And that was in the early summer of 1919. He ended up, and his favorite Bible verse was Isaiah 40:31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Cunningham was the first ever to break the 4-minute mark on the mile run.
Oh my gosh.
Scientists, doctors, they all said nobody could do that. I think like crazy smart people all said that it would put too much pressure on the human body, that you couldn't do that. Within 4 years after him breaking that 4-minute mile, 336 other people did it. Me, I never came close to breaking that. But
I can do 4 minutes. I can break.
I never broke a 7-minute mile. Yeah, I never broke a 7-minute mile.
Probably 25 feet in 4 minutes, but.
And that was the world record and he did it, and that stood for 3 years. And then he also set world records in the 800 meter in 1936, the indoor mile in 38. He also set a personal best time in the mile run at 4.04.4 tenths of a second, testing Dartmouth College alumni gymnasium indoor track. And he finally beat the 4-minute. He finally did beat it. Just don't give up on yourself, you guys. Right. Just don't.
I'm gonna add to that. My mom had back surgery, and then through no fault of her own, was dropped on her back after the surgery and broke her back. She was a paraplegic, and she was told she was never going to walk again. The power of positive thinking, the power of determination, and the willpower that the human spirit has. My mother not only stood, because she wasn't supposed to do that again, she walked. Mm-hmm. And it was never easy. But to watch someone set the determination and the goal of this is not going to ever be your life again, and basically saying, no, you're not right. I serve a greater God, and my faith in myself and God is enough to change what modern science says to prove them wrong. And that it's the epitome of do not ever give up. Once you can move mountains when you decide you want to stand behind them.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. I keep this on my desk. We need to come up with our own thing and sell coffee mugs. My mom got this for me because this has always been who I have been. So, like, me having self-doubt, as much self-doubt as I have, is very unlike me. So,
but it's such a happy topic to end on.
It is. Just believe in yourself, you guys. You can do whatever you want. Will, stop telling me you want to get credentialed and do it, dude.
Yeah, quit saying I'm going. I hope you. Yes, I will. I will be credentialed. I will. And our happy topic, a topic we're going to kind of dive into, if not next week, it'll be the following week, is the Special Olympics that are setting records and have some very inspiring stories always. So, as always, if you have an idea for a story, a topic you would like for us to dig into, reach out to any one of us. We are all on 3 Chicks in a Pod. We're all on Facebook, Twitter. Reach out. We want to be here. And if you need someone to support you and what you want to accomplish, and just need someone to say, we got you, we're here for you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Reach out. And because obviously all of us are that way. Like, we all feel better when we can help other people.
I never go to timeout, Jade. What you mean? Brian, absolutely. I follow you, and I've seen some of her journey. Anytime you want to post anything
You
in the
did
group to
because
help
you
her.
farted, Jay. Stop farting. I can smell it in North Carolina. Boom, I got it before he did. Yes.
But anytime you want to post anything about your daughter's team, feel free in
Yes,
in
please.
that group, or feel free you can post it in my group, the Sip Off as well. We definitely support women's basketball here. So, but that will do it for us this week. Carrie, you want to get us out of here?
As always, we appreciate the view, like, share, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye,
Thanks,
y'all.
everyone.